Welcome back to Making Video Your Business. Today I'm joined by my good friend Garth Stinson.
Hello.
Hi.
How are you, mate?
Hi, mate. Give me a bit of an overview of who is Garth, what has your career looked like, and where do you find yourself now?
Okay, mate. Born, raised Londonderry, Northern Ireland, back in the 60s during the Troubles. Joined the Air Force, served 9 years in there as a military policeman, and then went into the Civil Police and did 4 different forces around the UK. Ultimately, lots of counter-terrorism stuff, dog handler, bomb dog handler, all sort of values of helping people, having grown up in the Troubles, seeing all that. And then ultimately, my career, I retired from the police in 2017, and I'd done several UK training lead roles. So love seeing people grow, love seeing them develop. And an opportunity came up a few years ago when we first met, when I was head of training for Belvoir Group. And then unfortunately got made redundant just before Christmas. And it gave me the kick up the backside to start my own business. So started my own business, and I do specialist human behaviours training and personal safety. And I'm absolutely loving it. It's just been a breath of fresh air. Yeah. So, I'm very much everything happens for a reason, but yeah, really loving it, mate. And that's obviously where we met. Yeah. Got you in doing loads of great training and met some really good people. So lots of giggles.
There's massive amounts of value and actually learnings that people who work in other types of business can learn from military strategy, also military leadership. Mm-hmm. Where do you see the growth being for your business?
The company's called Training for Reality. It was an easy title for me to pick. The branding was dead easy. It's a shamrock. I'm very passionate about being from Ireland, north, south, not political at all. It's human behaviours because not just my military background, not my police, just growing up in a council estate during the Troubles, being a bad employee myself over the years, being a bit of a pain in the backside over the years for bosses, but bosses send me, you do loads of good stuff, people really like you, but you messaged it the wrong way and you've upset a few people. And then seeing good bosses and bad bosses. So ultimately, what's always fascinated me is why people get into conflict, why people fall out, why people let themselves down by maybe sending something stupid or pressing somebody's buttons. And if you think to any business, no matter what industry it's from at all, doesn't matter technical, huge multinational down to a one-man, one-woman team, when people's relationships break down, when they fall out with each other or they don't understand why they behave in a certain way, there's conflict. And it can change people's lives. A bad boss might treat somebody badly. They might not realise they're doing it badly. So ultimately, what I want to achieve from it, I want to give people, using my experiences and my stories and my mistakes, quite frankly, I want to give them sort of the knowledge, the understanding, sort of the skills and the right mindset to say you are good enough. Human behaviour is really important. You should be authentic, compassionate. That's not weakness. And that's definitely not weakness, no matter how tough an industry you're in. If you think all the military's, all roughy-tufty, there's a time and a place to tell people what to do without conversation. But if you haven't got your team with you and going on your side, and they don't, as you say, know, like and trust you, it's just not going to work. Team dynamics will break down. Even all the major exercises that I've ever done, major incidents I've been at. So a couple of examples. So I am my first ever day on duty in London. I did my last 12 years in London as a bomb dog sergeant for British Transport Police. And it was a 7/7 bombing. So that was my first day in London. You can imagine the sort of what was going on, the decisions that I was having to make and other people around me were having to make. And it was because we had a really tight team that worked without. There was the unwritten. We didn't have to tell people what to do. We trusted them what to do. My boss trusted me. I trusted my handlers. But every single time stuff like that happens, every single time, we learn from it. And if you're not learning from it, that's criminal that you're not learning from it. I then wrote and designed and delivered the first ever London 2012 Olympic Games tabletop exercise for all the commanders.
Amazing. Do you remember that feeling, that feeling through the country then? It was unbelievable. It was unbelievable sense of national pride, and we've got incredible athletes. We've got, Jess Ennis, but actually have just had, talking about Olympics, we've just had Roger Black and Steve Backley on the podcast. And they were talking about some of their Olympic memories. So that's good as well. So
it is. And again, teamwork. The country was a team ultimately that day.
Well, because of the torch relay and everything.
Everything.
Massive,
it was huge. And again, when humans come together, as humans should do. It not only lifts a team, it lifts individuals, it lifts confidence, it gets rid of depression. And the country came together that day, and they come together when times are tough. And it's the British were really good at that.
What did you do during the games then?
So I was a counter-terrorism advisor. I was seconded to the Met Police, based over in Stratford, and they had representatives from all over, from London Fire Brigade, the Council, Special Forces, Police, and I was one of 2 counter-terrorist advisors seconded in to advise on any railway matters. It was dead easy for me. I'd been involved in all sorts of counter-terrorism stuff before. And all those commanders, very, very experienced commanders, nearly 150 in the room, they expected the big bomb attack. That's easy. Once that happens, there's processes in place. What challenged them was the human interactions. It was, had somebody told somebody else?
Yeah.
Had person A spoken to person B? Who was in charge? Whose ego kicked in? Somebody was under pressure to get processes done. Somebody was under pressure to make sure the people were okay. Somebody was under pressure because it was an immovable deadline. The opening ceremony was happening.
Yeah.
The world's eyes were on us. And all I did was inject what they didn't expect. And I said, right, this has just happened. The buses are broken down. There's a tube strike. How are you going to negotiate that?
Yeah.
Is the ego in a hierarchical organisation going to kick in and say, well, I'm in charge here? No, you're not, but you know better. And those were the challenges.
This podcast is about visuals, and we came across each other in relation to training I was running about visuals for Belvoir Group and nationally running training for them. You've actually been actively making bits of video content, and your new business, you're very, very visible online.
Yeah.
Very visible online. What do you think the value is?
For me, it's critical. It's critical for a load of reasons. So one of the bits I do is I take the science behind it. And I'm not a scientist, I'm not a neuroscientist, but I've worked with behavioural science units. Ultimately, the brain picks up on visuals for a couple of reasons. My training, don't just want it to be training, I want it to be an experience. I want them to enjoy it, retain it, and recall it when they're under pressure, because a lot of my training is about making decisions and doing things under pressure. What you reinforced and reminded me of and taught me loads of new stuff on was the power of visuals. So, for example, if I say the word cat, your brain will have 2 codes, and it will think of a verbal code, and it will think of the picture of a cat. And the verbal code is like a description of the cat. But what they will remember the picture of the cat. It goes into the deeper part of the brain. It goes into where the amygdala is. If you can link anything, storytelling, do a lot of storytelling, lots of scenario. Most of my training is scenario based. When you need to recall that, you remember that because it strengthens the neural pathways. So the science behind it is absolutely right. The reality is people enjoy it more. People enjoy it, they remember it. And stuff like you would do, there's something that really sticks with me when you did your training. When you were talking about, we've talked about good estate agents and not great estate agents in terms of the visuals.
In the property context, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And you were saying, if you turn the water on in a house, it's life.
Yeah.
Running water, rather than having the black TV screen in the corner of the room, you put a picture on, dress the room up properly, use a props box. Effectively, it brings it to life. So the way you bring properties to life with your videos and pictures still use that. It's called a picture superiority complex. My training will use that as well. So if I tell stories and I hang the theory onto a story or a scenario, they'll enjoy it, they'll remember it, they'll remember me, and when they're under pressure, they'll picture, oh yeah, how I get out of this is by doing this. I remember that story I was told. So that's, I think, number one, we had an affinity because we both like each other. I think we have very similar values. Yeah. But the visuals, it's critical. In answer to your question, it's absolutely critical. Most adults remember it, love it. It's more exciting. Less of a cognitive overload. You don't have to process it, so you remember it quicker. You remember it for longer. And they're just critical. And quite frankly, they're more fun. Who wants to sit through 200 PowerPoints with text on it?
No one.
No
one.
Absolutely no one.
How did you find starting to almost step out of the shadows and sort of become, I guess, more visual?
I have got a good face for radio. I've been told that by lots of people. Yeah, yeah. Thanks for that support.
Well, you asked before we rolled the cameras. You said, "Oh, where's hair and makeup?" And
exactly.
There's 2 choices: either you don't need makeup, Garth, or alternatively, makeup will not help.
Exactly. I'm sponsored. This is sponsored by B&Q Construction. But you know what? Every bit of this is a scar.
Yeah.
It's who I am.
Yeah. There's a little bit of polyfiller. Just
there is. Yeah. But I've never met anybody called Polly. It's a rumor.
Maggie will love that.
She will. Maggie will kill me now. She never listens to anything I say, so she won't even watch this. The reality is, mate, I enjoy. The overriding factor for me is I enjoy people learning and I enjoy helping people learn. To me, it was a natural thing because I love listening to stories.
Yeah.
I love telling stories. I love passing knowledge by telling stories. The visual part, to me, it was the only medium.
Yeah.
I'm pretty confident. I was really quite shy when as a younger man, much younger man, and to me, it's just the best medium. So I'd love to sit here and say no. I've struggled to get through it. I don't.
Yeah.
I enjoy speaking to people.
Yeah.
You know me. I don't shut up talking. But I'd like to think I'm using the right tools to deliver my message.
What would your advice be for people either thinking about starting, making video content or visuals for their business?
Don't be a perfectionist. I am a bit of a perfectionist. Do it. Put your video out. Lizzie Tween is an HR person who's just started out on her own. Lizzie won't mind me saying she wouldn't be naturally wanting to put anything out on video. She did a video this morning. She just did it. It didn't need to be polished. It was great because she came across as authentic.
Yeah.
So I think just do it. Get it out there. It doesn't matter if you make mistakes. Keep the bloopers in. Humanize the element. I would say involve others probably. So for example, one of the things I'm thinking on, again, I think I actually picked it up from you, is for me, if I want to help, I am ultimately promote my own business.
Yeah.
But if I want to, I live near Newark in Nottinghamshire. So if I want to go out to a local business and say, what are your current fears about the economy? I can make it a politically type thing. I can just say, what's your latest thing on the menu? I want to help promote them because the reality is I want my community to do well. And then the reciprocity from that is they'll go, oh, that Garth's quite a nice guy. Now, that's not manipulative, but the reality is if you help each other out and support each other, like in the business clubs and things like that,
everybody,
absolutely. And I've turned work down and passed it to somebody else because I wasn't the right person to do it.
One of the most underrated skill sets for senior leaders and managers for me is kindness.
Yeah, 100%.
Everyone talks about resilience. Everyone talks about being adaptable, able to pivot and change, to be dogged, to be determined, whatever. Very few people put be kind in that bracket. Yeah.
And absolutely 100%, I can tell you from painful experience, when the SH1T hits the fan, and I mean hits the fan in life-threatening conditions, life-threatening environments, when your team, we're not talking like, the photocopier's broken, we're talking stuff where people are going to die and you're the leader or the manager, and when you need help and when they need help, that kindness, it could be years ago that you've done it, your team will gel, and it happens so quickly in the brain. Simon Sinek does a great video on it, and it's why would they do that for me? And it's because you maybe taking years to build that relationship, and it really counts when the chips are down. Like really, really counts.
Mate, thanks so much for your time.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Really appreciate you coming on. I wish your new business huge success.
Cheers, buddy.
And I'll catch you for a pint of Guinness soon.
And a game of golf.
Yeah.
All right, buddy. Cheers, mate.
Cheers. Thanks, mate.